Hey, this is American Chillers, book number 25, Mississippi Megalodon by Jonathan Rand. Chapter 1, Megalodon. When I first saw the word, I didn't know what it meant. I didn't even know how to pronounce it. Now, of course, I know exactly what a megalodon is. So do my friends Tara and Landon. They know all too well what a megalodon is and what it can do. They know because they were with me. They saw it too. You see, a megalodon is a giant prehistoric shark. At school last year, my teacher, Mrs. Biltmore, gave each of us a word to research. We had to find out what the word meant and write a 5-page report. When she gave me the word megalodon on a small piece of paper, I looked at it and frowned. What's a however you say it, I asked her. Mrs. Biltmore smiled at me. You'll have to find out yourself, Robbie, she said. Great, I thought. I rolled my eyes and sighed. Whatever it is, it's probably not something cool. I was really jealous of some of my classmates who'd been given their assignments. One was given the word velociraptor, which is a fierce meat-eating dinosaur. In fact, I had just finished reading a book about velociraptors in West Virginia. It was a really freaky book. I wish I'd been given that word to research. But when I found out what a megalodon actually was, I was really excited. Not only were megalodons giant prehistoric sharks, but when they existed, they grew to over 60 feet long. Once I started my research, I couldn't stop. Normally, I don't really like homework, but this assignment was super cool. I worked on my research paper for a couple of hours every night, even on weekends. The word megalodon means big tooth. Megalodons are said to have lived millions of years ago and are believed to be the largest sharks that ever existed. Megalodons were so big that some scientists think they may have eaten huge whales. I found more information about megalodons at the library and on the internet, and even a few pictures of fossilized teeth, some of which are the size of a football. Most scientists, however, say megalodons vanished a long time ago, but there are a few scientists and researchers who believe megalodons still exist today in the deepest parts of the ocean. Both groups of scientists are wrong. Megalodons do exist today, but not in the great depths of the ocean. Megalodons, one of them at least, lived in the dark, murky depths of Sardis Lake, Mississippi. How do I know megalodons exist? I know this because Tara, Landon, and I came face to face with the gigantic beast one horrifying day last summer. Chapter 2. One thing you should know about me, I love to fish. We have an old rowboat that Dad and I used to get around the lake. I've been fishing for 9 years, ever since I was 3. I love to fish more than anything else. We live in a house that's only a block from Sardis Lake, which is a huge man-made lake in Mississippi. It's great for bass fishing. I've caught a couple of big ones. One of them weighed over 5 pounds. Another thing you should know, I'm an excellent swimmer. I can hold my breath and stay underwater for a full minute. Mom says I must be part fish, and I just laugh. That would be cool. I'd love to be part fish. Then I could swim around and explore lakes and rivers and not have to come up for air. But even though I'm a great swimmer, my mom and dad wouldn't let me take our rowboat out alone until I turned 12 years old and completed a boater safety course. Well, my 12th birthday was last May 15th, and you can bet I took the course right away. It's easy to do because you can take the course online. 2 of my friends who live nearby, Tara and Landon Phillips, took the test too. The 3 of us passed with flying colors, and as soon as we received our certificates, we made plans to take the rowboat out for a day of fishing. This is going to be so much fun, Robbie, Tara said to me as we stood at the water's edge. We each carried our fishing poles, and I had my red tackle box that I got for my birthday. It contained dozens of lures and other things for fishing, spare line, some small tools, nail clippers, things like that. Tara carried the net, which we would use if we caught a big bass. Our very first trip together, just the three of us, Landon said. I hope we catch some big fish. Even if we don't, I said, we're still going to have a great time. Come on, let's get our gear loaded into the boat. Our dark green aluminum rowboat was tied to a dock. It's old and a little beat up. Chunks of paint have been chipping off for a long time. Dad said he bought it before I was born, but it floats great and doesn't leak. It has a small electric motor mounted on the back. The motor doesn't make the boat go very fast, but it's quiet and doesn't scare off fish. Of course, the boat has 2 oars, and I'd use them if the motor's battery runs low or if we want to be extra quiet. The morning was cloudy and gray and a little cool too. It was late June, and Mississippi can get really hot during the summer months. This morning, however, the temperature hovered around 65 degrees, and it wasn't supposed to get too much warmer during the day. A thunderstorm had rolled through the night before, bringing colder temperatures and leaving an iron-colored sky and a hazy fog over the lake, which was fine with us. Some of the best bass fishing is on cloudy days, and we wouldn't have to worry about applying any sunscreen. We had a cooler filled with sandwiches and snacks, so we wouldn't have to worry about going hungry. And Mom gave me her phone just in case we had an emergency, so we wouldn't have to worry about contacting someone for help. What we would have to worry about, however, was a fish. Not a bass, bluegill, crappie, or other harmless freshwater fish, but an enormous monster that was lurking in the depths, watching and waiting. Chapter 3. I hope the fish are biting today, Landon said as we walked along the old dock. The wood creaked beneath our feet and the dock shifted and bounced under our weight. I hope so too, I said. It should be a good day, even if it's a little cold. There probably won't be many other people fishing either, Tara said, because it's cloudy and foggy. I looked out over the lake. The water was dark, and a veil of thick, soupy fog hung heavy and low. I could actually feel it on my face, all cool and wet. We loaded my tackle box, fishing poles, net, and cooler into the boat. I noticed that because of the dark clouds above, the water beneath the dock was so dark I couldn't see the bottom. I knew the water was only about 6 feet deep, but it looked as black as night. It was eerie. I stepped into the boat, picked up a yellow life vest, and tossed it to Landon on the dock. While he slipped into it and fastened the buckles, I tossed another one, a red life vest, to Tara. Problem was, my aim was a little off, and Tara had to lunge to the side to catch it. Unfortunately, that was all it took. Her foot slipped off the edge of the dock and she tumbled backward, flailing her arms wildly as she plunged into the dark water. Oh no, I said as I scrambled out of the boat and onto the dock. I felt terrible. It had been my fault that Tara had fallen, mostly my fault anyway. I knelt at the edge of the dock, ready to reach down to help her back up. Nearby, the red life vest floated in the water, but there was no sign of Tara. She had vanished in the dark water. I wasn't worried, however, because Tara was a good swimmer. Still, I felt bad because she had fallen in. My eyes scanned the water, but I couldn't see her. With every passing second, I grew more and more worried. Landon did too. We both knelt at the edge of the dock, worrying and waiting. Where did she go? Landon asked. His voice trembled a tiny bit. Maybe she hurt herself and sank to the bottom, I said. Without another word, Landon slipped out of his life vest, dropped it to the dock, and jumped into the water. My heart was really pounding, and I wondered if I should use the phone Mom gave me to call for help. She'll be okay, I told myself. She'll have to go home and get into some dry clothing, but she'll be fine. She's a great swimmer. A movement far out in the lake caught my eye, and I turned. At first, I thought I was looking at a boat because it was hard to see through the fog. No, that's not a boat, I thought. That's not a boat at all. That's a fin. And it's gigantic. In the next instant, the fin disappeared in the fog. What in the world was that? I wondered as I took turns glancing in the dark water below and out into the lake. It almost looked like a shark's fin, but that's impossible. Sharks don't live in fresh water. And besides, that fin was enormous. There's no shark in the world that could have a fin that big. Suddenly, the water beneath me exploded and Landon's head popped up. His eyes were wide. He looked frantic. She's gone, he shouted in a panic. I don't see her anywhere.